In a swift reaction to Donald Trump's new tariffs on Chinese goods, China implemented reciprocal tariffs on American imports and launched antitrust investigations against Google. The trade war between the two leading economies is taking place while Trump simultaneously granted concessions to Mexico and Canada. On Tuesday, February 5, the U.S. President suspended his decision to impose heavy tariffs on Mexico and Canada for 30 days in exchange for commitments from these countries to enhance border monitoring and combat crime. At the same time, an additional 10% tariff on all imports from China to the U.S. went into effect around 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, February 5, Afghanistan time. This action followed Trump's repeated warnings to Beijing that it was not taking sufficient measures to prevent the influx of the opioid fentanyl into the U.S. List of China's retaliatory actions. The Chinese Ministry of Finance announced on Tuesday morning, just minutes after Trump's executive order took effect, that a 15% tariff would be imposed on imports of coal and liquefied natural gas, LNG, from the U.S., and a 10% tariff would be applied to crude oil, agricultural equipment, and certain vehicles. These new tariffs on U.S. exports are set to take effect on February 22. China also announced that it had begun antitrust investigations into Google, which is owned by Alphabet. Additionally, the country placed PVH Corp., the owner of brands including Calvin Klein, and the American biotechnology company Illumina on its list of unreliable entities. The Ministry of Commerce and the Customs Administration of China separately announced that, in order to protect national security interests, they would impose export controls on tungsten, tellurium, ruthenium, molybdenum, and items related to the intermediate metal ruthenium. China controls a significant portion of the world's resources of these rare elements, which are vital for the transition to clean energy. China did not benefit from the concession that the U.S. granted to its neighboring countries just hours ago to lift tariffs, and a White House spokesperson stated that Trump would not speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping until the end of the week. Background of Trump's trade war with China. In his first term as president in 2018, Trump initiated a tough two-year trade war against China due to the country's large trade surplus with the U.S. In this conflict, both sides disrupted global supply chains and harmed the global economy by imposing reciprocal tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods. The Oxford Economics Institute, predicting a slowdown in China's economic growth, noted in a memo, the trade war is still in its early stages. Therefore, the likelihood of further tariffs being imposed is high. Trump warned that he might increase tariffs on China further unless Beijing curbs the influx of fentanyl into the U.S. China had previously described fentanyl as an internal issue for the U.S. and announced that it would file a complaint with the World Trade Organization, WTO, regarding new tariffs and would take other retaliatory measures, while simultaneously leaving the door open for negotiations. In 2019, in response to Washington's increased tariffs on Chinese goods, China imposed punitive tariffs on U.S. liquefied natural gas. However, the situation is more sensitive this time, as China imported about 4.16 million tons of liquefied natural gas from the U.S. in 2024, valued at $2.41 billion or $1 billion, nearly double the volume imported in 2018. Following China's retaliatory action, the Hong Kong stock market lost part of its gains, the US dollar strengthened, and the Chinese yuan declined, which also. Gr Wining, the chief economist at Natixis Bank in Hong Kong, said, unlike Canada and Mexico, reaching an economic and political agreement on Trump's demands for the US and China is much more difficult. The market's previous optimism about a quick agreement still seems uncertain. According to him, even if the two countries reach an agreement on some issues, tariffs may be used as a permanent tool, which could become one of the main factors driving. Ahmad Shah met with Erdogan during his trip to Turkey. Ahmad Shah, the interim president of the Syrian transitional government, has met and discussed with Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, during his visit to the country. The Turkish presidency announced this meeting on February 5 by publishing photos on X. The presidency did not provide further details about the meeting. Yesterday, Turkish media reported that the two sides would discuss reciprocal steps to improve the economic situation, stability, and security in Syria, focusing on support for the Syrian people and their transitional government through multilateral platforms. It is also said that the establishment of a Turkish military base in Syria is among the topics of discussion between the two parties. 2 days ago, Ahmad made his first foreign trip after the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government to Saudi Arabia, where he met and discussed with Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of that country. He has traveled to Turkey from Saudi Arabia to meet and discuss with Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Turkey supported the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham led by Ahmad and its allied groups in the war that led to the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad's regime. Australia has banned the use of the Chinese artificial intelligence deepfake in government devices due to security concerns. According to Reuters, Tony Burke, Australia's Minister for Home Affairs, on Tuesday, December 16, issued a mandatory order requesting government agencies to prevent the use or installation of the deepfake program. The minister added that if the program has already been installed, it must be removed from all devices and systems. He stated that deepfake poses an unacceptable risk to government technologies and that the decision to ban it was made to protect national security and the interests of Australia. Artificial intelligence, rival or ally of humanity. Biden and Xi's meeting, Taiwan, military relations, Iran, and artificial intelligence were central topics of discussion. Installation of thousands of security cameras, Reuters, the Taliban have accessed the U.S. plan for the former Afghan government. Deepfake is a Chinese AI chatbot that was launched earlier this month and has received widespread attention. The launch of this AI chatbot, created at a significantly lower cost than its competitors, has transformed the technology market and severely impacted the stock prices of American AI companies. Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, has described deepfake as a warning sign. Italy has banned the use of this chatbot for all its citizens, and Taiwan has also prohibited its installation in government devices.